Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Wednesday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios in beautiful New Jersey and somewhere in Chicago, Illinois. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on, for the first time, the Let's Go Devils podcast network. I changed up the script, Vinnie. I changed it up. I didn't give you the memo, but that's all right. Devils take on the Calgary Flames tonight. Another late game. Another, I don't know. Sounds like a big party going on over there, Vinnie.
Yeah, it's St. Patrick's Day, getting the celebration on and trying to pull out a big win tonight after that debacle that went on last night.
I wouldn't say it was a debacle. I thought it was just a little strange what went on during that game.
Well, I hated what went on in the third. Like, you have the game in hand, you're on the power play, and then you make a tough play, and it leads to Bo Horvat, who was picked with a New Jersey Devils prospect with a New Jersey Devils draft pick because they just can't lose. It was just tough. Like, the way it ended, it bothered me yesterday. I don't know why. You're right. It wasn't a terrible game. It was the first time Vancouver beat them in like 7 years, which is something that didn't get talked about as much as I think it probably should, even though they only play them twice a year. But the fact that they let that game slip away was tough. I thought they had a chance to tie it. Jack Hughes looked like he was making some magic there on that power play, and then they missed the net one time, and a turnover led to Bo Horvat going down the other way, and he got one. And when Gillies went in, you knew that the game was going to be just a little bit tougher, and, yeah, I hated it.
Yeah, well, you know what? I was a little surprised what Lindy Ruff did yesterday, pulling Nico Dawes. I understand the motive behind it, what he's trying to do, but Nico Dawes has proven himself that he can come back from a 3-goal deficit like he did against the Avalanche not too long ago. If you want to really test a young goaltender, that was the time to see what he can do to lead his team back. And again, it's not that I want to put Nico Dawes on the spot. I think he could handle it. And I think they prematurely pulled him, maybe thinking strategy-wise, get him for the next game. But they were only down 2 goals. It's not like it was Nico Dawes' fault. Matter of fact, I mean, I'm sure there was one that he probably wanted back, but I'm sure that the Devils were going to respond back after those 2 quick goals. And to not give him a chance like that, I'm not so sure, Vinny, that I agree with Lindy Ruff on that move. But the other thing, too, is Jack Hughes needs to keep on shooting because he was nearly dominant at times yesterday's game.
Yeah. So as far as the goalie first, real quick, before we get to Hughes, I want to touch on the goalie a little bit. I was a little surprised that they pulled Nico Dawes so quickly to go to John Gillies. It's not like they have this backup that they just trust the way that a lot of other NHL teams trust their goalies. John Gillies has struggled, outside of a couple good starts to begin his tenure with the Devils earlier. It was 4-2, I think, when they pulled him, or 4-2, and they were down 2. And like you said, I get the sentiment. You have the Calgary Flames less than 24 hours later, who are a significantly better team than the Vancouver Canucks that you're currently seeing. I mean, let's be real with ourselves. The Calgary Flames are a bona fide Stanley Cup contender. Devils are playing one of the best teams in the NHL tonight. But you get to tomorrow when you get to tomorrow. That's a tomorrow problem. We're here today, and you're trying to feel good against the Vancouver Canucks. You have a comeback type of situation here. Maybe Dawes makes that save on Bo Horvat shorthanded. I mean, it was from pretty far out of the net, and I'm not trying to rain on John Gillies, but Nico Dawes is a better goaltender than John Gillies. And, it was tough to see him get pulled like that. You wonder that it kind of felt like it took the steam out of them when Vancouver went up 5-3, because like you mentioned, Jack Hughes was out of his mind. And There's a guy on the Devils now that can take over games. He's not going to win you every single game. That hockey takes depth and effort and teamwork. But Jack Hughes is unbelievable. He's as good of any forward that's ever played for the Devils, and he really had it on display last night. He had it going well, and I'm excited to see how he goes in the second half of a back-to-back today against a team like Calgary, who can suffocate you and make things hard in the neutral zone and turn your mistakes into chances the other way. It should be a good time. I'm skeptical about the outcome of the game, of course, because Calgary is just so good. Um, Although, they're also just like any other NHL team, they're beatable. If Nico Dawes comes out tonight and he's angry about yesterday and getting pulled, maybe he comes out on fire today and Jack Hughes continues his scoring tirade and Jesper Bratt's been outstanding. Nico Hischier didn't record a point yesterday in his return to the lineup. I'm sure he's not too happy about how his return to the lineup went. So I'm excited about it. It sounds like Siegenthaler took warm-ups, but they have White and Yaros out there in case Siegenthaler can't go. Pavel Zacha is not in the lineup, and I know the trade deadline is looming. I know there was some injury scare yesterday with him slamming into the boards, if I recall correctly. That was Zacha who that happened to. So I think, maybe he's out for precautionary reasons because they want to be able to trade him and not risk him getting hurt, or maybe he's just actually hurt and they have no intention of trading him and it's all noise. But the lineup construction is interesting for tonight. No Siegenthaler would be tough because it was tough yesterday against Vancouver, right? So what do you do tonight with Calgary? Well, Calgary is significantly better. So if you're missing Siegenthaler, it's definitely going to be extra tough to defend when it's already tough to begin with.
Yeah, and they're playing a very good Calgary Flames team, and you want to. I like Calgary, just the way they play, the kind of players that they have, aside from Blake Coleman, and any who's the head coach there? It's Sutter, right?
It's
Daryl
Daryl Sutter,
Sutter.
yes. And they
I
got
love
Tyler
that no
Toffoli back,
nonsense stuff.
reunited with him.
Yeah, and a no nonsense coach. I love that style because the fundamentals are there, and you want to see what the Devils should be doing. Watch the Calgary Flames. I talk about the NFZ. Watch the Calgary Flames. Watch how they will beat you defensively and just suffocate you to submission. And let's see how the Devils, with their newfound success, Jack Hughes starting to really make his mark on the league, Jesper Bratt being the leader, Nico Hischier as captain. Let's see how they do against the Calgary Flames. Also, Dougie Hamilton, you need to stop giving up those shorthanded chances or be on the ice for them because that shorthanded goals are like 4 point plays in basketball or an 8 point touchdown in football or I don't know.
A grand
It's just
slam.
devastating. Oh, or no. I'll even better. It's like pitching a no hitter without getting the win. That's what it feels like when you give up a shorthanded goal. It shouldn't happen, but it did, and it changes the entire momentum of the game.
Yeah. And like you said, it doesn't just feel like you gave up a goal. You gave up a goal while you're supposed to be scoring goals. Everyone's supposed to be scoring goals at 5-on-5.
Yep.
It's who's better at defending and who's better at scoring that wins the 5-on-5 battle. When you're on a power play, giving up shorthanded goals should, in the eyes of coaches, be unacceptable. And it seems to happen with the Devils a fair amount. Even when they don't let up the goal, the chances are there for the opposition sometimes. I mean, there are times I actually had the Vancouver broadcast on yesterday. Every now and then, I'm 98% of games I listen to Steve Cangelosi and Ken Danico, but every now and then they have a Canada game, and I like to hear what the Sportsnet crew has to say about the Devils because I think Sportsnet and TSN look at hockey a little bit different than some of the other local broadcasts in the United States, and I like to hear what they have to say every now and then. So I'm listening to the third period on Sportsnet's broadcast, and they're talking about how the Devils were 0-2 on the power play, but they gave up a shorthanded goal. Like, that is not a recipe for success in the National Hockey League. And that sounds kind of like almost like a duh, like without thanks, Captain Obvious shouldn't give up shorthanded goals, but it's been an issue with the Devils giving up these chances, even when they don't convert the opposition. So when you have Calgary coming to town tonight, you have guys like Blake Coleman, who, when he's killing a penalty, he likes to go the other way shorthanded. I mean, the guy probably had more high danger shorthanded chances when he was a member of the New Jersey Devils than he did high danger power play chances. So it's going to be something to keep an eye on tonight. They get outstanding goaltending in Calgary. I mean, even Dan Vladar, their backup, is outstanding, and you could chalk Markstrom up as a top 10 Vezina Trophy candidate this season. I'm not sure he'll be nominated or anything like that. There are some great goalies in the NHL, but Markstrom, with all his shutouts that he's acquired this season, he's going to be up there in terms of the voting. So it's going to be a very difficult task tonight. And giving up shorthanded goals, just it digs your hole 5 feet deeper than it's already dug when you compare the two rosters.
Yeah. Also, Vinny, trade rumors. Nick Villano and I talked about it on the State of the Fan address. I am in the sentiment of, unless there's an unbelievable deal that improves the Devils greatly without mortgaging the future, I wouldn't do a thing. I wouldn't even do a thing if I was Tom Fitzgerald. Because this year, we were supposed to be buyers, in my opinion, on the cusp of possibly trying to make the playoffs in that 10th place spot, possibly. But it didn't work out that way. So what happens? Nico's contract is pretty big. Jack Hughes next year, his contract kicks in. Devils don't have that weapon of the salary cap as much unless you start giving up or start trading players like Zaka, who will command some money, or Bratt, who would command some money. But Brad needs to stay on the Devils because we discussed he's just a multi-dimensional talent. He's a leader of the team, along with his scoring, and his defensive play has definitely got a lot better in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I have tremendous respect for the daily face-off guys, but I think the idea of the Devils trading Jesper Bratt is absolutely crazy. I wrote a couple pieces for it on Pucks and Pitchforks in terms of trade packages and the idea of trading him as two separate pieces. But that doesn't mean I want them to do it. I think that would be a horrific idea unless they were getting a significant return. I mean, Jesper Bratt is like one of the best late-round gems drafted in the last 10 years. And there's no denying that he's leading a National Hockey League team in scoring with a point-per-game thing. So it's definitely, just even the thought of it is tough, and I can't get behind it. But if Subban, if he gets an offer, I would do it. I would do it without question. If you could get anything for him. It's not about shedding the money because his money's gone regardless of what happens because he's a UFA at the end of the year. But, even if you can get a sixth or a fifth from a playoff team that wants that extra sixth defenseman or fifth defenseman, whatever you want to call him, I certainly would do it. If Andreas Janssen is, offered something, go for it. Pavel Zacha, some Devils fans just despise this man, and it blows my mind. Like, I get it. He is not what we thought he was going to be, not even close. But, I mean, he's better than a replacement level player. If an AHL guy replaced Pavel Zacha in the lineup, the Devils would be a worse team for it. Same thing with, even Janssen. But, with Zacha, I think you might be able to get a little something for him. And if someone offered me something for McLeod, I would do it, but I would be hesitant because I think he helps get the most out of Nathan Bastian, and I would not trade Nathan Bastian unless, like I said, it's a significantly awesome offer. Yeah, there's some serious chemistry there. There's chemistry there. And, I talked about it with my brother / co-host on my show earlier today. If somebody like Vinnie Hinostroza from the Buffalo Sabres wanted to come play for the New Jersey Devils and played on the fourth line with McLeod and Bastian, I think that line would be outstanding. He's got tons of skill, played for the Rockford Ice Hogs and Notre Dame and all that stuff. So even a guy like that, just a chippy like fourth liner coming to play with Bastion or McLeod, or if Miles Wood came back and did his thing with those two guys, so I would be very hesitant. Like I said, nobody's untouchable. Wayne Gretzky was traded in his prime. Okay. Like
Yeah.
Taylor Hall was traded for a depth defenseman and then won the Hart Trophy. Nobody is untouchable in any sport, really, in my opinion. Who's untouchable in any sport? Patrick Mahomes? Is Mike Trout untouchable? I even doubt that. So if you're the Devils, yeah, Nico and Jack, you would need tremendous packages. You would need, you would basically need one of the top, two of the three top prospects in the NHL in order to trade one of those guys. I still wouldn't do it, especially Jack. Are we certain Bedard is going to be as good as Jack Hughes? Are we certain Shane Wright is going to be as good as Jack Hughes? It's possible. They're going to be number one overall picks that are awesome, but you have no promises in the NHL, and Jack Hughes could be a top 10 player. So when we think about the untouchables, it's basically those two guys. Luke Hughes would bring back something huge. But, when we're talking about trades with the Devils, it's mainly like the guys you brought up, the depth players that, can help a team get that little extra third liner for their Stanley Cup run or stuff like that. But, if they stood pat and really only traded Subban and Janssen or Subban and Zacha, then I would be all for it, because I'm trying to build some chemistry and get this team rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, and you know what? Look, the Devils have some trade pieces, but it's got to be the right deal. It has to be the right deal. The one thing that you want out of Fitzgerald is consistency, continuity with these players. And again, if those that were listening into the State of Fan address not too long ago, I was saying that the Devils really, need to stand pat. Really need to stand pat and let things just go fall the way that they should. The clock started for me with Fitzgerald once he got hired in 2020, not 2015. That was Ray Sherrer's, era. Tom Fitzgerald got to a rough start, had an awkward press conference when he got hired as the interim GM, watching his friend pretty much get fired, dealing with the pandemic, brings in a brand new coach, Lindy Ruff, started. But I think Lindy Ruff and the team, they're turning the corner right now. I think what people forget is it's addition by subtraction, or is it? Sometimes it's better just to do nothing because the team is already growing themselves, like Hughes, like Heischer. They've got another year under their belt. They're going to be better next year, or they should be. And if not, then that's when you start shipping people out. But I don't see them going that direction right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry that the Devils haven't made the playoffs outside of one time since 2012. That is unfortunate. That's not what any of us wanted to see when Zach Parise signed with the Minnesota Wild, or Ilya Kovalchuk retired, or David Clarkson ended up with the Toronto Maple Leafs, even though that turned out to actually be a good thing for the Devils. I don't think you can just hate what's going on with the current team because they were bad from 2012 to now. It's not Hughes, Heischer, Bratt, Hamilton. It's none of those guys, even Lindy Ruff, even Tom Fitzgerald. It's none of those guys' fault that Ray Shero drafted Pavel Zacha over Mikko Rantanen, or, Michael McLeod over Charlie McAvoy. Like that stuff is not Fitzgerald's fault. Does it stink? Yeah, I would love to be a better team. Would I rather Werenski than Zacha, or, who did I say, Rantanen over Zacha? Yeah, of course I would. I'm not dumb. I watch hockey. I like the NHL.
Well, who was the 7th overall pick in 2015? Provorov.
It had to be Provorov, yeah.
Yeah. Flyers defenseman. And
yeah, exactly.
Could you imagine the defense of Provorov, Severson, as a
with
pairing?
Hamilton and Graves? Yeah.
Hamilton 100%. And Graves.
And that's another thing. Don't trade Ryan Graves. If they trade Ryan Graves, I will be very upset. I will be there unless they get a first and it's, a team that could miss the playoffs and win the lottery, then yeah, I might be like, okay, fine, whatever. Or if they get like a high end
Yeah.
prospect, like if Colorado goes, you know what, we really kind of want Graves back for our cup run, we'll give you Bowen Byram because he's got concussion issues and we're not sure. Then like that's extreme. I know that's like a pipe dream. Don't come at me in my Twitter mentions. I know that's not happening, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I would want in order to trade Graves. I think having Graves on this team could really help them for a long time. And I've been pumping the Graves um, pom-poms for a couple weeks now because when I watch him play, especially when he's with Hamilton, I'm not saying he's like a game-breaking defenseman. He's not Cale Makar. He's not Quinn Hughes. He's not even Damon Severson in terms of offensive production. But, like, he is just a solid big guy, kind of mean. Like, you look at him and you're like, that's a guy who, when they're up 3-2 late in the third, I could put him out there with Hamilton and hope that the top defensive checking line, whatever you want to call it, can go out there with Hamilton and Graves and, bank in the empty net or keep the other team from scoring. So, and he had a pretty nice goal. Whether it was the last game or the game before, I know he had a goal recently where he came in on the wing and he had a 50-goal scorer shot. So hopefully that continues, and don't trade Graves, please.
An underrated defenseman, Jonas Siegenthaler, looks like he's good to go tonight. So, and that was also, again, he took himself out of the game yesterday during warm-ups. And guess what? You saw what the team looked like without Siegenthaler back there. He's been a very steady defenseman. He's been very consistent. I think him and Graves need to stay long-term. They're great on the blue line. And then it's going to also create a tremendous amount of competition because think about what's going on in Utica, although I think Nick Villano alluded to they were kind of coasting a little bit. But defensively, Luke Hughes, he's looking great down at Michigan right now. And we don't even know what Muhammadulin is going to be like. So that defensive core is going to be, again, keep that pipeline filled. And, when Nick and I talked about trades and would you give up a first rounder? So far, I've been so impressed with Fitzgerald's first round picks thus far, with the exception of the two risks of Stillman and Muhammadulin, because you really don't know what they're going to be like. So they're kind of incomplete on the report card. But so far, you got to think Holtz, Mercer, outstanding. Luke Hughes, outstanding. And those are just two drafts. We've only had two drafts with Tom Fitzgerald.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to land a first. I don't think they have anything that's going to land them a first this year. But like I said, you never know. They can weaponize.
No, I meant
their
the other
cap
way
space.
around. Give up first.
Oh yeah,
If you were to do
they
a
weaponize
blockbuster deal, yeah.
Yeah, and they can use that first and their cap space to really land a nice piece looking at Vancouver. Or, I've heard that there are some really good defensive prospects that are available. Bowen Byram's name did come up in a TSN article I was reading earlier today. I know that's like crazy, but when you think about Colorado with Makar and Gerard and Devin Taves having the season that they're all having, are they going to pay them all $9 million? So with Byram's concussion, it's worth the risk for the Devils for me. But when I think of Siegenthaler and Graves, it's like, where did they come from? How did the Devils get them? Oh, it's Washington and it's Colorado, two of the best ran organizations in the last 5 years that basically got rid of them because they couldn't afford them. And, like you said about Muhammadulin, we don't know about him yet, but there's Luke Hughes. We'll see what happens with Severson. Every Devils fan hates Severson. I think he's a bonehead sometimes. But I also know that his 200 NHL assists or whatever the heck he has don't grow on trees. So, there's
Plus,
pros
he's
and
getting
cons
a
to a
lot
guy.
better. He's getting a lot better. I think he's more comfortable
He
now,
is.
not
It's
being
his
the
name
guy.
now. Yeah, it's his name now that people hate. Like it's Damon Severson. He's the scapegoat. There have been guys like that for forever in NHL history and even sports history. It's like, hey, who's the one guy that we have to blame everything on? Well, Severson's that guy for the Devils. I think Zacha kind of is to some extent too, even though in my opinion it's a little more warranted for Zacha than it is for Severson. But I like the future of this blue line. I think Luke Hughes as a freshman is a top 10 finalist for the Hobie Baker Award in college hockey, playing on that just absolutely stacked Michigan team that has a serious chance to go on a run and win the NCAA national championship, or the Frozen Four, if you will. So the fact that they have all these guys in the pipeline and they're building from, position of need, now it's about the goaltending. Is Nico Dawes that guy? He's going to continue to get chances until they acquire somebody big. Maybe they sign Braden Holtby in the offseason and have the Holtby-Dawes duo. Or maybe they give Varlamov a contract for a year or two and do that with Nico Dawes for a bit. Or maybe even Blackwood comes back and he's healthy and, God willing, all ready to go for his, return to the NHL. It's possible. So I don't know. I'm optimistic about this team right now. I know it was a stupid game last night in Vancouver, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Let's do some predictions right now. Do you think the Devils will pull off a stunner in Calgary? Nico Dawes most likely is going to be in net.
Yeah, no, Nico Dawes is confirmed in net from Amanda Stein. That's for sure. Zaka out, Siegenthaler in, which is nice. Heischer's in. Obviously, it's not even close to a good idea to pick the Devils, but, I'm feeling in a good mood. Tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day. The Devils avoided tragedy by not drafting Nolan Patrick. Nico Heischer's awesome. So I'm feeling in a good mood. I'm gonna go Devils 5, Calgary Flames 4.
3-1 Devils.
Okay.
3-1 Devils. And I think somebody special is going to get the empty netter tonight. I don't know why, but I'm thinking that. So,
Somebody special. Care to elaborate?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's going to be, who.
The goalie?
If he plays.
Oh. Okay, he didn't take line rushes, so I'm skeptical. Back in Calgary, Andreas Janssen.
4th and 15 on the Stampeders goal line. Dawson.
Oh, I thought
Mercer back to pass. Feeds. Andre Johnson. Touchdown Devils. Devils beat Calgary. The Calgary Flames flame out. Anyway.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Vinnie. So, Devils After Dark, after the game, we're going again for the second night in a row. I'm already tired. I got up so early this morning after a late night, and I got to do it all over again. But hey, we do what we love, right?
Absolutely. That's West Coast hockey.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank all those tuning in, dropping the podcast later tonight. We're going to have all sorts of podcasts. State of the Fan Address, Game Day Live, and also Devils After Dark after the game. Scotty of Sirius XM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was. Well, enjoy the game, everybody. Until next time, let's go Devils.